morning, my Flosstube friends. Welcome back to Lolly Stitches. My name is Laura, and this is my channel where we talk about all things stitchy. It's mostly cross stitch. I would say 99% cross stitch. But on occasion, we'll talk about embroidery or other needle and thread crafts. Mostly cross stitch though. I'm so glad to be back. It feels like it's been forever. I don't know why, a few day delay on our soft 2-week schedule just makes it feel like it's been a very long time since I've visited with my friends. So I'm so glad to be back, and I'm excited to share what I have done with you. And yeah, here we are. It's a good thing. It is a weird day in Washington. We had major smoke settle into the valley where I live, and we've had since mid-September fires in the mountains, and it's been horrible. As with so many wildfires, it's in a place where it's difficult to contain, and we've had no rain, so it's been hot and dry, and the fire continues to burn. So the wind must have shifted or something, and it has settled into the valley, and my whole house is stuffy because we had to close all the windows due to the smell, and the air quality level is just pretty poor right now, and it makes my asthma want to do a little dance of angry joy. So so the windows are closed and the house is a bit stuffy, and it's dark outside. Despite, if you look straight up, there's blue sky, but everywhere, horizontal to me it's like living in a cloud. It is living in a cloud. Anyways, the wonderful news is tomorrow we get our first real rain. Like, fall is coming, my friends. It is coming, and I am just praying that it tamps down that fire, and that the air clears, and that it really just pours buckets. I have plans to cuddle up on my couch after doing a little bit of chores, and to stitch and turn on the fireplace and finish the Rings of Power series, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I anticipate a lovely day tomorrow. I want to do all the stitching. So yeah, rain, exciting. It's a good thing. The rain dances have worked. Okay, so last time when we met, I asked you to leave comments with where everybody's from, because I find that really fascinating to see what a truly worldwide community this is. And you responded, and I am just thrilled by it. We had comments from 17 different states in the United States and 15 countries worldwide. So, it's truly everything from Canada to England, Austria, Germany, Holland, Belgium, New Zealand. You guys, the Philippines. It's from all over, and it's wonderful. It's so fun that we are connected through this medium, through this mutual hobby, and through the internet. The internet can be a scary place, but it's also a beautiful tool to connect us. And so thank you for responding. I'm looking for like a little corkboard map that I can put pins in of where all of my stitchy friends are from, because I think it's really cool. So thank you for responding. That was really fun. I always love all of your comments, whether you leave a location or not. Talking with you is a delight. And I actually had a moment a couple of nights ago where somebody reached out through my Instagram, which is also Lala D Stitches, and we just had a chat about life being stressful, and stitchy mojo and what we were working on, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so much fun to really have a conversation, and the more I do this is video number 5, which feels crazy and exciting. But the more I do this, the more I feel like I'm recognizing names and handles, and I know I have some idea of what some of you are working on, and so when I see updates or you mention certain things, it's like, oh yes, yeah, I recognize that. It's really becoming friendships, and I love that. That's really cool. It's like when you're in elementary school and you're forced to have a pen pal. But this time it's by choice, and you know you have things in common. Anyways, really fun. Please keep commenting. Just even, let's see, what should we talk about this time? We could talk about, I don't know, something funny your pets did if you have pets, or your kids if you've got kids, or I don't know, something funny. We all need a little happiness, especially as the seasons start to change. As much as I truly adore fall and winter and all of the changes of the seasons, I am part of that part of humanity that struggles some days with the darker days. And so we can always use something cheerful in our life, something to remind us of that life is good. So something funny this time. It'll be good. It'll be fun. Yeah, so I went and visited family for a little bit last week, and that was delightful. I had such a lovely time. I did nary a stitch. I just didn't do any stitching whatsoever. I went on walks in beautiful parks, and I watched a track meet that my niece is in. It's an interesting thing. My cousin is one of my best friends, and that's who I was visiting. And so I've always considered her more of a sister and a best friend than a cousin. And so I think of her children as my nieces and nephews, even though strictly that is not the correct term for our relationship. Anyways, my little niece had a track meet, and she did so good. She cut almost a minute off of her last time. And so we celebrated that night, and the following night we had a girls' night with her, which was delightful. We watched a Netflix movie called Enola Holmes, and it was delightful. It's one I'd seen, but you know, my husband's not really interested in that kind of movie, and so I just hadn't watched it. I just hadn't. And it wound up being really cute and family friendly. So that's a good thing if you've got little ones that can handle, you know, the occasional gentle fight scene. It's a delightful little movie. Yeah. So really just had a lovely time, and I was glad that I went and came home to a bit of chaos, but I think that chaos is settling now, which is good. Life can sure be stressful at times, can't it? And so I came home, and I was so tired, and then the stress kind of killed my stitchy mojo for a couple of days. And so I had almost a solid week gap of no stitching, which is okay. That's okay. There are weeks I get a lot done, and then there are going to be weeks where life happens. Just like I'm going to adjust this lamp in an attempt to make it brighter in here. I have it facing kind of right at my face, but I feel like it's creating a little bit of a glare. So I'm we'll see. Maybe that's better. I don't know. You can also see I have several things on my sewing table going. If you could see the full room, oh, why not? You can see. We'll shift. Magic. This whole table is fabric because I have a project in my brain. And then I've got another cutout project, and I've got a cross stitch project that I am planning to start in a month. And my brain is all over the place. Which isn't a bad thing, and it's actually not that unusual. It's just oh man, the things we do. I guess I handle stress with cleaning and puttering in my sewing room, and it's really been a lot of puttering rather than accomplishing much. That's okay. That's okay. I'm here. I've got my spooky mug. And I'm ready to show you my stitching. Okay, so we'll kind of go backwards through the week in how I stitch them. There were a couple of projects that you will, if you watched my last video, you'll be like, where did those projects go? And as seems to happen, sometimes I make plans and then, you know, I pull out a project and it's just not sparking any joy. It's not making me excited. So there are a couple of things that I had planned on working on that I did not work on. One of those is my Hawk Run Hollow, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, which I really was very excited for. I even made that boring border box so that I could start stitching on it, and I picked colors, and by the time I had chosen colors for it, because I am, as I settle my brain here, as I did in my shores at Hawk Run Hollow, I am mixing the called for DMCs with some over-dyed substitutions just to give some spots a little bit more interest. And in doing that, it just takes time because you lay out I don't have one of the, I would love someday, one of the DMC books that have the actual floss samples in them, so you could just like lay it out and be like, okay, I need 721. Oh, I see that that's this yellow, and I need to or want to find a good overdyed substitute for that. And that would be a lot more simple than going through all of my boxes, pulling all the DMCs, laying them out, going to my boxes, getting my overdyes, and then, you know, it's a fun game to play, but it takes time. And so by the time I had settled on what I want to use, I don't know if it was decision fatigue or what, but I just kind of lost my sparkle for that one. So those decisions are made. Perhaps I'll pull it out in the next week or two and get some color started in that empty, sad little box. But maybe not. Maybe I'll wait for another day where it just feels better, and that's okay too. That's okay too. So Shores at Hawk Run Hollow got no stitching in it. And then I had planned on starting Away We Ride, which is a blackbird design that I adore. But when I pulled it out, I had failed miserably in the kitting department, and I had a beautiful piece of linen and 3 colors of floss, and there was no logical place to start with the colors I had. And I considered trying to figure out how to substitute things, but again, I didn't want to. And I love that project enough that I think I want to use the original colors. So it went back in the kit box and got no stitches. So we had a couple of projects demoted, but I did work on other things. So the first one, let me get my little iPad out so that we have our originals here. Oh yeah, I'm like a professional now. The first one is Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Halloween Spooky Sampler, and if you, oh fiddlesticks, professional. Oh, you know, it's good. It keeps you humble. if you follow my Instagram, you will have seen basically where I started. I did not post the progress picture because I was saving it for the video. So I want those scissors, and it's really cute, and I'm really having fun. This is another one that is predominantly charted in DMC, but I've swapped out some overdyes in it, and that's been a lot of fun. I am really enjoying doing that. So where we started, this is where we left off. I just had 2 boxes complete, well, almost complete. Those windows need color in them. They still need color in them. That's okay though. Anyways, this is what I did. It's so cute. So you can see I have swapped out the solid white for, I want to say it's Weeks Dye Works Lighthouse or something along those lines. The moon, I want to say that's the call for colors. Anyway, similar. I'm keeping it very similar, but just the occasional little swap out to give it a little bit of sparkle. Anyways, it's been super fun to stitch on because it's a very comfortable count. It's on 32 count Belfast linen in Vintage Stormy Night. It's a printed one. So you can see this side is completely solid, but this side has waves marbling in it, which gives it a little bit of interest. I've got threads. Welcome to the sewing room. Yeah, anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and it's an easy, it's a comfortable stitch, if that makes sense. It's not a strenuous one to work on. So this week I would like to get some of this border framing around here and 2 or 3 more boxes. It's ambitious, but I think I will be able to be a little bit more focused for most of our in-between time this time. So I'm hopeful that good progress can be made. Okay, so the next one is called Black Cat Hollow, and that is a Barbara Anna Designs. I believe it was originally done as a sal in 3 chunks. The pattern is sold in 3 chunks, so that's what makes me think it was like that. And it is so cute. I look forward to working on this one more this week. I gave it a little bit of time in the last couple of weeks, but not a ton. I was very torn between working on that or the Frosted Pumpkin one, and I really want to give it some time. It would be really incredible if I could finish the top row this year, but we'll see. No big deal if I don't, because I've got my system so that Halloween projects can get a little bit of time throughout the year now. I am a seasonal stitcher, traditionally speaking, and I love stitching that way. I love being in the season and having things that scream that moment to me. Just helps me, especially as an adult with no children, it helps me just be a little bit more present through the holiday season. I don't know why. It's kind of a funny thing, but I don't know, I feel like when you have children, they kind of bring that seasonal awareness to you through life's distractions. And without that, it's really easy for it just to feel very humdrum. Life is busy and extra busy even, and stressful, and it can just be easy to get lost in the adult side of life. And stitching seasonally helps me, I don't know, remember the magic of the season that used to be so easy to find, I guess. No matter what season is, even through the summer, I can do the same thing. I just get lost in life, and so if I have a cute little stitch of a mermaid or an eagle with a flag or something like that, it just which is very, American, but it just makes me feel a little bit more present in the season, I guess, which, anyways, there's my little soapbox moment. Anyway, Black Cat Hollow. This is where I started. I know, it's thrilling. It was just a quick start last year, I think, and I wanted to get some stitches in it. And like I said, I didn't do a ton, but we added some color, which is very exciting. And let's see if I can hold this without dropping it. I swapped out, this was another one that is, it is charted in DMC, and this green originally was this really drab, very brown green, very olivey green, and it looks super cute in the picture. Like, I had no problem with it on principle, but just wanted a little bit more life there. So I found, I believe it's Pea Pod, Classic Colorworks, to stitch the grass in. And so it still has, I feel like it still has a very, that faded, tired grass look, but it's less brown and drab, I guess. Anyways, yeah. Progress, right? You can see where a couple little pumpkins will sit, and somewhere along the way we'll get to our first little cat. It's fun. I love the border on this one. These little spots are actually like the heads of acorns, so eventually there will be some color coming through that border as well, which, again, it's the magic of cross stitch, right? It's like putting together a puzzle. You do all these little things that don't make a lot of sense, and then all of a sudden you add 2 or 3 things in, and it all comes together, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is magic. All right. Okay, this next one I love. I felt guilty not giving this one more time just because I'm so enjoying it, and I have so much anticipation for what it will be when it's done someday. Not that I have a timeline. This is Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery, which I love. And we talked about last time how I had originally had a linen that was okay, but it wasn't as yellow as this one, and it didn't have the marbling, because you can see there are areas where it's not stitched, it's just the linen showing through as the grass. So they really use the material as part of the scene. And so there was a hunt for the perfect linen, and it was found. And then I didn't have the colors for the trees. So then my little creative heart went off the rails and got really excited and bought a selection of Gloriana silks. Ooh, they're so pretty. And so I am super excited to get into the trees on this one. And where we started this week was with a pumpkin, a path, and a fence that had been ripped out and put back in. Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was a place to start. And so, like I said, I haven't done a ton, but I did get in 2 trees because I just had to see what they looked like. It made more sense almost to go into one of the houses just to give a foundation for other things, but they're so pretty. Also, this linen, yum. It is called, what is it called? I have a note. I thought I had a note. Did I set just pause. One moment, please. Oh, heavens. Best intentions. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, this gorgeous green linen, which I know I've mentioned the name of before in moments where I was more organized. Oh my, I love it. It's going to be perfect. But this is actually a it's a Cosmo embroidery floss. And I didn't swap that out. That's the called for one. I liked it. It had that bright, sunny feel. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, and there is a street that goes by a park where these glorious 100-year-old maple trees go that color, genuinely. And it is one of the most glorious things on a drippy, wet, cloudy, gray day to see nature's little extra sunshine there. I had so much fun. This is my first silk coming into it, and it fulfilled all my dreams. It's just so pretty, and I can hardly wait to get into more trees. So because I had a bit of a heyday, I think there are there are only like 4 colors of trees in the called for and the original. And see if I can hold this. Oh yeah, I'm so good. Anyways, so you've got your brown trees and your orange trees, which are solid, and I had more colors than I needed, but I want to use all of them. I don't want to abandon any of them. So I have this beautiful diagram of the first page of the chart where this looks like a giraffe to me. I don't know why, or a camel or something. But what it actually is my first little chunk of trees that show in the chart, and I've assigned different trees a color, basically, so that I can use all of my beautiful silks, because I can't put any of them in plastic baggies and let them lie lonely. I want all the colorful trees. Okay. The next one is the Blue Flowers Halloween Parade, which I adore. I don't know if it'll focus. Not on my face. It is so cute. The details in this one are just charming. They're all the little critters are wearing costumes. We've got a chameleon and a peacock, and the raven looks like he's like in the mob or something. He has like a bowler cap. Skeleton bee. They're adorable. I love them. And I started this one last year. Last year was an interesting year. I discovered that I didn't have a lot of truly seasonal projects. I maybe had one for each of the end of year seasons. And so I went a little hog wild buying patterns and linen to go with it. And then I just gave them little starts, because a lot of this purchasing happened towards the end of the month. And like I said, I'm a seasonal stitcher. So when November 1st rolls around, I drop Halloween projects like a hot potato and dive into everything pumpkins and leaves. And this year I'll have some turkeys, which I'm very excited about. I have a couple of new starts planned, which I am also very excited about. I really want to start things, especially since I didn't get to start a wavy ride. I have like this hunger for a totally unnecessary new start. Anyway, this is where we started. I got some spooky curly branches done last year, which is lovely, but not super exciting. Now, dun, 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 dun. Oh my goodness. I mean, he's floating. He will eventually be sitting on a pumpkin or a rock or something like that. But it's so cute. Our little peacock's in, and our pumpkin dog, and a couple of leaves. There's a few more leaves to add in, and then this branch extends, and that's where our next kitty cat is. For the astute and observant, you will notice that my peacock is a bit more dynamic than the charted peacock. I was putting in the centers of these last night, and it looked like on the chart a dark circle, and so I was like, oh, I know what that color is because that's the tree. And so I stitched them up, and then I was like, it's really cute, but it feels different. And so I looked at the picture, and sure enough, the dots are much more subtle in the picture. So I was like, okay, what did I do wrong? And you can see in this on the back that there's the black dot, which is not actually black, it's brown, for the tree. And then there's this second dot, but it's not really a dot. It's actually a sunshine. And when you're tired and stitching in a room that's probably too dark because you're watching scary movies with your hubby, sunshines look like dots, and you get far more dramatic peacock feathers. I actually like it. I'm not pulling it out. I think it's kind of cute. So it's my little customization. Unintentional, but I'm okay with it. I like it. I'm excited to get into, I think I will try to do this branch with our little chameleon cat, and then maybe go down into the lady next. I am considering changing the color of her dress though. The color shows better on this picture. It's a brown, which is great. I don't actually have a problem with it. I really like it on the color of linen that they chose, but I worry that on my linen it will blend a little too much. So I'm considering going to like a plum of some kind of really pretty purpley dress. We'll see. I'll play with it. I'll let you know how it goes. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this one. It's been a lot of fun. Ooh, this one has not been fun. First of all, it's adorable. Hocus Pocus. It's a trilogy of ornaments. I don't have a Halloween tree. I'm not going to finish mine as an ornament. It'll probably just go in a little frame, and I'm only doing the Hocus Pocus. And I have not made much more progress on it, so I'm not even going to show you before picture. Because I realized, oh, woe is me. Business is bad. I put in all the white, which is pretty blendy, frankly. I wanted it to show a little bit more, but I pulled this color from my stash because I didn't have the called for color, and I think it's a little bit on the creamier side than what they used. So anyway, the vines through here blended a little bit more, and I was okay with it. I was just gonna let it ride. But you guys, I have to pull it out. Like all of the white has to come out, because as you do with cross stitching, I don't normally show my backs. There's nothing wrong with them. I have tidy backs for the most part, but I just don't believe in almost like the competition that comes with a tidy back or whatever. Be proud of your backs. If they're clean, be proud of it. It's a wonderful thing and definitely praiseworthy, but I don't believe that anything creative should be a competition. I think it's an expression of self. And anyway, so I just I don't show pictures of my backs or anything like that. Anyway, so special privilege, everyone. You get to see my backs. But as you can see, I stitch across here, and when I was down here, I just popped down and added those couple little stitches because it's more efficient with the floss. And then I came over and wherever I went next. So to pull out 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 little white stitches, I have to pull out everything, which is a tragedy. It's so sad. And the reason for it is, if you look in the picture, there's this pretty little purple border that goes all the way around, which means my little white dots, if I moved nothing, would be kissing the border. Now, the fudgy side of me would seriously consider letting them touch because who would know? But I started the letters. I started the letters. And the letters matter more to me because they are a space, because of where the dots were. I think I counted off of one of the dots instead of the green to get my starting point on my hoe. And anyways, it's a spot too high. It's one stitch too high, which would mean that there would be a larger gap at the bottom. And while dots touching the purple border might look like just little pearls or something hanging off of a ribbon, a bigger gap at the bottom looks like I'm an idiot and I counted wrong. So the white must come out. And because of that, Hocus Pocus is in timeout because I don't wanna. I'm having a tantrum moment and it's going into cold storage for a hot minute until I get the gumption to actually be a grown-up and pull it out. This is a judgment-free zone. Gosh, I was so frustrated. Ugh, whatever, let it go, let it go. Ugh, let's talk about Sleepy Hollow because it's much more fun. Oh, it's so cute. And it was my new start. Okay, so I did get a new start. I shouldn't have the new start hunger. I started one, but I do. It's still there. Anyways, this is super cute. I love it. I love it. I'm stitching it on Belfast linen 32 count in smoky white. And for those of you who stitch or do other things while you're watching me, it's Sleepy Hollow by Hello from Liz Matthews. Liz Matthews is a designer, and it is adorable. I love it. I love all the owls. I love the grumpy pumpkins. Something about that gives me a tickle. I like that the bats look like they're melting. It's charming. And it's super fun to stitch. And it's on a really easy fabric to stitch on. It's another printed one. It's so funny because I'm pretty sure in a conversation with my mom, I don't know, a month or two ago, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how I feel about printed fabric, printed linen, just because it feels like it would be limiting, and what if something went wrong with it when you pressed it? And like, I just had this fear in my head when I was thinking about it. And sure enough, I pull out my Halloween projects, and I have not one but two projects on printed linens, and there's not a problem in the world with it. It's wonderful. So you can see the one side is pretty solid and the other side has texture, and it's adorable. And I have no problems with it whatsoever. I'm just a chicken when I talk about it, apparently. Anyways, that's my start. It's a really good start. You can tell I really liked working on it because I got a lot done. And like I said, it just flowed really easily. The only thing that did not flow, apparently, was this little pumpkin dude who I missed an entire row in. So I think he looks cute short and round. So I just added an extra layer of grass. He's sitting on a little bit more of a hill than in the original chart. This is the confession corner for cross-stitch confessions. Anyway, he's so cute. And look at the bat eyes. Hilarious. Super cute. And the moon looks chunky here because we've got another bat melting into it. So, anyways, I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. In fact, and I feel like I'm making progress fast enough in it that when November rolls around and I drop everything like lava, I will, I still have a couple days slotted for seasonal stitching out of season. It's something that I started in August, actually, where if I have a birthday stitch, so my birthday falls on the 3rd of the month. So on the 3rd of every month, I pull out my birthday stitch to get a little bit more into it. And then on the 13th, Friday the 13th, and the 31st, if there is a 31st, that becomes my spooky stitching days. And then outside of December, the 24th and the 25th would be holiday themed projects. So I have a plan in place for getting a little bit more progress throughout the year while still being a seasonal stitcher. Because you'll notice that all of my stitches right now are very heavily Halloween themed. And that will shift when November comes. Yeah, anyways, so I have a plan, and I think that this is the one that I will work on in November again when the 13th rolls around, because it's too cute. It's too much fun. Okay. Ooh, I'm excited to show you guys this one. This one made good progress. Okay, I've got to find it. It is, well, I'll show you the pattern first. Stargazer, Mirabilia, Nora Corbett, and my stitchy friend Samantha just tagged me in a video where she is finally starting hers. She'd had it kitted up for a while, and she kept mentioning it in her videos, like, oh, I should start it. And I kept commenting, you should start it. And she's finally starting it, and I'm so excited for her, and I can hardly wait to see it grow for her, because this is such a beautiful project to watch evolve. It really, every step of the way, and I've used this word a lot, but it's true. It's magic. It's just, I've got dust on my screen. It's magic. I love this. So this is where I started out, and I haven't worked on it in over a week. One of my lack of stitchy mojo days this week was Monday, and that Mirror Monday is when I stitch on my Stargazer. And okay, she's not strictly Halloween, but she has a very magical, mystical vibe to her, and I feel like she's probably looking up at an autumn night sky, especially since I'm stitching her on this gorgeous mystery linen, which gives it a more autumn vibe. This is where I am. I'm so pleased. I'm just watching this skirt fill out is just tickling all the right bones in me. I adore it. I mean, I'm so excited. There are a lot of gaps because there are a lot of beads, and I haven't quite filled up in here. I think there's one more color that goes in there, but I completely finished her bustle, and we've added, you can really start to see the shape of her skirt. Started adding some of that periwinkle blue in, which is so beautiful. I don't own any of her beads yet, but it will come. As soon as I get like in the last ruffles down here and everything is filled in, that will be an order I make so I can get those beads going. Because I don't know that I can put this one away right now. I'm just loving it. And you've got to ride that wave, right? When you're motivated for something. Anyway, that's my Stargazer. I've had a lot of questions about the linen. I honestly, you guys, I truly don't know. When I say mystery linen, it's a mystery. I bought it in Mississippi about 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, and I just didn't care to keep track that much. Back then I wasn't really into the cross stitching again yet. I just loved it, so I bought the fabric and the pattern, and I tucked it away for almost a decade before I put any stitches into it. And so I truly don't know. I suspect, having more experience with different linens at this point, I suspect that it's a Zweigart, or maybe even a Belfast. It has a nice hand to it, a little stiffer. It's not loose like a Weeks Dye Works, so it's got more body to it. But it's a solid. There's no over dye going on. So that's all I've got to give you. I'm sorry. It is beautiful though, and I love how she pops off of it. My mom also just started this one. She's a gorgeous cross stitcher. I mean, and she is heavily working on the Halloween Quaker sampler right now, which is so dang cute, and I have the pattern, and it is so hard to not start that one right away, but I am being firm with myself and making myself not just start all the things, even though I have the pattern and I want to do it. It's so cute. It's turning out adorable. Anyway, she is doing her Stargazer on this gorgeous, soft, icy, marbled blue. It's a hand-dyed linen, and it's going to be so vastly different from mine, but so spectacular because it will pull all of the soft, more purpley blues from the front of her skirt into the background, and I can hardly wait until she gets down into that because it's going to be truly beautiful and so different. And that's one of the things I love about the current energy of cross stitch right now, is that there are so many creative people out there creating different foundations for us to even do our stitching on, as well as the beautiful charts that everybody just puts their own spin on it. And it's really inspiring to see the different ways people envision a project being. It's very, very cool. I really enjoy it. That's why I'm part of way too many groups that get me in way too much trouble. It's a good kind of trouble though. Keeps me off the streets. Okay, this one I didn't do much on. It is Baltimore by Ink Circles. And it's another one that I absolutely loved when I saw the sample in Acorns and Threads last year and instantly bought the pattern. It comes in 2 parts. It's like half and half. And instantly bought that and some linen, and I just got a little bit of one of the bats started, which is a funny story about the bats. This is where I was. First, I am doing it in a different color than the called for. They didn't have the called for in stock. It was, 2021, and the pandemic had interrupted trade routes a lot, and so as everybody knows, it was hard to get your hands on some things. So I thought I had started it this direction because I typically start in the upper, let's see if I'm looking at it, the upper left-hand corner of a project is just, I don't know why, it's just a comfortable place for me to start. But as I was literally getting ready to start stitching, I was like, this doesn't look right. Why is this wrong? And I hadn't started in that corner. My stitches were going the wrong way. I actually started in the upper right corner instead of the upper left. And it totally threw me for a solid 5 minutes as I'm like looking at it this close and trying to figure out what I had done. And I make copies of my charts so I can mark on them, but I'm not messing up the original. Kind of like people will do with the apps, so you can mark off the stitches you've done with a highlighter or whatever. I use a highlighter in mine. I just do it manually instead of digitally, I guess. And it works for me. It's really saved me on some projects that are a lot more intricate, and it's so easy to get lost because everything blends together. Obviously, I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. It would be a lot more difficult to get lost on, but I somehow managed it just because of direction. Anyway, I finally figured out the direction it was supposed to go and put the remainder of the bat in, stitching the right direction, so all my crosses are going the same way, and life is happy. But then I had spent several days over the space of several projects working on a lot of black, and I got really bored. And so I haven't worked on this one again after what I did. I think if I can get some color, maybe one of the headstones, or jump down into one of the little mandala spots, I would get a lot more enthusiasm back for this one because I really like the finish. I'm still really enjoying it. Too much black is boring. I'm a color girl. This was on Fox and Rabbit linen in the color Baked Clay. It's a 36 count. So I've got these little cards. I don't know if I've showed you guys these before. My beautiful scribbles. And this is something I started, I want to say it was, oh golly, I'm going to totally mess up her name. CZ Nook or CZook. I will write it down in the comment or in the little chunk below my video so I know that I'm getting her linked correctly. But at one point when I was watching her videos, she had talked about having little note cards with the project information just so you could keep track of things, because most linens will come with a little tag of some kind, but it's really easy to lose those and not know what you're working on. Or if you have like here, I have a mix of called for and custom colors. So I know that at some point my colors are adjusted. And for this project specifically, it's the black of the bat. I picked a different color because they didn't have the called for color. And I really liked the idea of just having everything on one card. So if you ever see me like shuffling around down on my desk here, it's probably because I'm looking for my card. Not all of my projects have it yet. It's been a gradual adjustment to the system, but I really like it. It just keeps everything together. I have the name of the project, the company and the designers, the fabric, color, and size, and then my start date, 2021. And then I can add an end date too. And in a perfect world, I would love to have a little binder or something along those lines where I could slide this information in, or at least use this information to create a cleaner copy of it. And then insert a picture as well, as kind of like a little scrapbook of projects I've done. Because I've had projects over the years, mostly in the quilting side of my life, where there was one year, okay, this was craziness. There was one year where my family was young and everybody was having babies and still had a couple of younger kids. And so I went off the deep end and I made every niece and nephew a quilt. And I think I did, it was 15 or 16 children's to baby quilts in the space of 1 year to give at Christmas. And it was insanity. And it was not all machine piecing. It was embroidery and applique. And I mean, it was just whatever project I thought that they would love, I made for them. And it was super fun and took all of my energy, all of my crafting energy. And, but I have found I'm very organized with my projects. I keep things in, oh, sorry, baby. I startled my dog. I keep things in binders, and that way I can be organized and I know what I'm working on and what I have worked on. So I have a binder from that year of every project that I did. And I even have color card samples, so I know the fabrics that they were, and it like triggers the memory. But I failed to take pictures of any of those quilts, with or without the children that they were given to, and that has been a source of sadness for me, actually. Not because it's like I want to be like, ooh, look what I did, but especially the pictures of the children with the quilts. Just something about that is, I don't know, documentation of how I spend my time in my life. And I've wished that I had those. So it would be cool to take my little cards, and then if and when I do finish projects, like my little quilted finish, where is it? There. To have a picture of that, especially if it's something I'm giving away. Like if I'm keeping it, I have it. But if it's something I'm gifting, you've put a lot of time and energy into that, and you might never see it again. People, I believe once you give something away, it is theirs, and it's not my responsibility to track it anymore. And whether they use it or don't use it is their choice. I've done my part, I guess, and I definitely had a time where I worried about like, well, are they using it? Are they liking it? Was this a waste of time? Should I not give things to people? And hi, baby girl. Big stretch. Anyways, thankfully, I've been able to let go of that really rather useless anxiety, and once I give it away, it's just gone. But once you give it away, it's also just gone, and so you have no, unless your memory is perfect, you know, it's easy to forget the details of what I did. And anyways, so it'd just be nice to have some kind of a record, I think. I don't know, maybe that's silly, but it'd be interesting. Okay, last project I worked on is my beautiful, beautiful, not Halloween themed Sunday stitch into Dreamland. In some ways, this is kind of a birthday stitch. I bought it the week of my birthday. I fell in love with her at the cross stitch shop and walked away and could not get her out of my head, and went back a few days later and bought her because she's spectacular. She's gorgeous. She is my first truly full coverage project ever, and I think I'm hooked. I have had I've had projects in the wings, I guess you could say. I've purchased patterns over the years, full coverage that I like. I think they're gorgeous, and I've been incredibly intimidated by them. Especially the scale of the stitches. So much of the time, to create something that doesn't take up a whole wall almost, you really have to do tiny stitches. And while I am not necessarily afraid to do that, and I'm certainly capable of doing that, it's not as comfortable to stitch. My eyes. I've been wearing glasses since first grade, so they're just, you know, as I get older, they don't get better, unfortunately. So finding a comfortable count for stitching is important to me. And I have some things on very tiny counts, and I tend to work on them less. Not because I'm incapable, but just because it's not as comfortable, it's not as fun. Anyways, this is where I started, or where we left off with my progress. And that felt like a really solid start. I think that was just a couple of days of stitching. I only stitch on this on Sundays, and I did not stitch at all this last Sunday because I was so tired after driving across the state that I just plopped myself on the couch and took a nap. And that felt really good. I'm not a nap taker. Honestly, I really am not. I don't like taking naps. I tend to wake up grumpy from them. But I was really, really tired. So I did. And I did not stitch, which is okay. There's no pressure, right? We do it because we love it, not for a finish or for competition or whatever. I stitch because I love it. And if I'm not loving it, or I feel like there's a pressure to do it, I will get stubborn and not do it on purpose because I want it to stay for pleasure. Anyway, I made good progress on the 2 days that I did stitch. And you can see, it's hard, I'll back up so you can kind of see it. There's a bird right here, which is our first little critter. Pretty flowers. And I'm so excited. This one's truly like a puzzle because the stitches kind of become pixels in the picture, the bigger picture with a full coverage. And so it really is, 100 stitches isn't going to do much in the grand scheme of things, but you put in 800 stitches and suddenly magic has happened. And these blobs of green or brown or whatever become part of something. And I think that's what I'm enjoying about the full coverage right now, is that it truly is like a slow reveal. I also, and this is just a little funny, weird thing about me, there's something so tactily pleasing about the sensation. Oh, I'm so weird. the sensation of the density of stitches. It just feels good. I don't know if it's because I don't know why. I don't know why, but I find it very appealing and I'm really, really enjoying it. I was worried when I started this about the gridded Aida that it is on. They were needless worries. This is the softest, most buttery Aida I've ever stitched on, and it's lovely. And despite having placed my chart one spot too low in my grid, I made a note. I'm aware of it. And the grid is really nice to help you keep track of, oh yeah, this is still in relatively the same space. And I can see how it will become even more helpful as I get deeper into the body of stitching. Anyways, that's my into dreamland. I'm so excited about that one. Sunday can't come soon enough. Okay, so that is all of my current stitching right now. As I mentioned earlier, I dropped Away We Ride and Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow for this year. It's not to say they won't come in before next October. I just, they weren't hitting the mark for me. So, but a few days ago, and this is not cross stitch. So if you're not interested in this, that's totally okay. It is still stitching, but it's embroidery. If you want to drop off, that's great. Thank you so much for coming and for sharing this time with me, and I'll see you next time. But for those who are interested in just a real quick dip into my brain and how I'm all over the place, Crabapple Hill released a new pattern that I absolutely adore. And it's a block of the month, but it's really cool because she released the pattern instead of keeping it exclusive to the people who are signed up for like the kits side of it. So I was able to purchase a PDF of the pattern, and I don't have I haven't started it. I just love it. It's super duper cute. And I love that she just did different things with the letters than a lot of alphabet quilts do, like Q. That's Q. It's literally a quilt block, and X is in W. I don't know. I just think it's adorable. So I'll be starting this at some point. I need to find some background fabric, but I pulled some of the colors that it will be stitched in. She always uses the Cosmo flosses, and they're so pretty, and I don't have all of them. Again, like, I'm not ready by any stretch of the imagination to start this, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm enjoying just having it sitting on my table because it looks pretty. And it's good to have something out that is exciting. Anyways, so if you like embroidery, and you enjoy Crabapple Hill, she's got a new one out, and it's probably worth doing. Yeah, I've been trying to incorporate like an hour of embroidery every couple of days because I have a number of projects that I really would like to finish. I shared them with you guys in my finish parade. I think it was in the finish parade. Finish. A lot of those were missing a couple of spots of stitching, but after going through those, I was really excited about them again, and so I've been making an effort to get a little bit of embroidery time in mixed into my cross stitch, just because I'm so enjoying the cross stitch that it's hard to break away from that, to like sacrifice my hand stitching time for anything but. But I really do enjoy the embroidery too, so I'm trying to make a little bit of time for that. And it's always fun to find something fresh and inspiring. Yeah, that's my video, you guys. That's what I've got for you. My plans this week are I think I'm really going to focus on my main 4 Halloween. So the Black Cat Hollow, the Frosted Pumpkin Sampler, and Halloween Parade, and then my owl tree, what's that one called? Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow. So I think those will get the most attention over the next couple of weeks as we round out our month of October. I cannot believe that we're at the 20th of October already. Where is the time going? I mean, holy cow. I do have my sister and her husband coming to stay with us for a couple of days, Halloween, and then a couple of days after that. And I am so excited to have her here with me. And I'm sure we'll do some stitching. So if we don't, we've tossed around the idea of making a little insert video of us together. I don't know how good an idea that is because we get a little kooky when we're together. We're 2 years apart and she's my baby sister, and and we have a lot of fun. But I don't know how focused we would be in a video. So anyways, we'll play with that. We'll see if it actually happens. But either way, I just want to thank you for coming and for sharing this time with me. And I will be back in the first few days in the first week of November. Let's put it that way. And we'll see how far I made it on my Halloween stitching. And then you'll get to see my November lineup, which will be so much fun. I really have a couple of projects that I'm really excited about for November. It's hard to wait. I find myself getting really excited about the upcoming about halfway through whatever season I'm in. And it's really hard to be like, no, it's still Halloween. Halloween isn't for another 2 weeks. You have to be good and stitch what you're supposed to. Anyways, but I'm very excited about a couple of things. So that will be really fun to share with you. I hope you have, if you celebrate Halloween or do things with your kids, I hope it is happy and safe and not raining or snowing. And I just hope you guys all have a wonderful next couple of weeks. Happy stitching. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this time with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always forget to say that, but it's part of the game. So take care, my friends. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you soon.